This is the Oakwyn Podcast, featuring Morgan Browne and Michael Yu.
Welcome to the Oakwyn Podcast. I'm Morgan Browne.
And I'm Arlene Chiang.
And I'm the Podfather.
Yay! And this week is special because we are talking
all things women.
All things women. International Women's Day. And we all have daughters. That's kind of cool.
That is nice.
To think.
Yes.
That means that we, as the people ahead of them, should be kind of representing this women power for sure.
I agree.
Don't
That's
you
where
think?
it starts.
That's where it starts.
Gotta pass it down.
So what is the campaign this year? Let's talk about the campaign for 2022 for International Women's Day.
International Women's Day is on March 8th this year, right?
Yep.
And the theme of the International Women's Day is breaking the bias, or is it break the bias?
Break the bias. Imagine a gender equal world. This is what they're saying. A world free of bias, stereotype, and discrimination, where difference is valued and celebrated. Together, we forge women's equality. Collectively, we will all break the bias. I was just telling them before we got on, I was like, my words aren't coming out today. I need coffee. Anyways.
We'll get you some coffee.
Be a part of the movement. What does International Women's Day mean to you, Ar?
Well, this is, and we've talked about this before. It's newer for me because I am more the oblivious person floating in the world, feeling like everything is all right and everything is good in the world. But actually, if you actually think about it, there's a lot of bias in this world.
There is. It's crazy how much there still is.
There is a lot of weight to bringing to people's attention and to their awareness of, how hard women had to fight for their rights and are still fighting for their rights. So it is a very important day.
Super.
And it's a real time to reflect and just remember how far a lot of women have taken us and what more we can do.
Obviously the campaign is break the bias. What is one thing you guys have seen where women have to break the bias all the time? Like, what about you, Brayden, Podfather?
Where they have to break the bias.
Yeah.
I would say big way to so my wife works in the healthcare industry, which is more like women kind of centered, but at the same time all of the higher ups, all of the management, like the head management and stuff like that, they're all these like old white men, and it's so hard for anybody who's not an old white man to break in, and it's insane because the entire like structure is dominated by women below the management section. And so I guess, that's definitely
higher up.
Yeah, the kind of upper management being dominated by old white men is crazy that's still a thing, especially in an organization like the public health organization that, is a public organization, is theoretically supposed to be
50-50.
Yeah, it's supposed to have some sort of some sort of diversity, but it doesn't at that stage.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
What about you, Ar?
Well, it's funny. I watched Bombshell this past weekend.
Bombshell. Yeah, I want to watch this on my list.
Which was very eye-opening, but it was talking about the Fox News and the long-time sitting CEO there, who really focused on changing the news network, but using women and using their sexual traits to get people to start to watch the 24-hour news cycle, but also just really discriminate and harass women within that whole network and industry, really. And it was kind of a real eye-opener about, when people are getting hired, what do they look like, and he would get the women to come into his office and do a twirl in the office.
That's crazy.
Just to see,
he got sued.
He got sued. He got sued and let go. And many women came forward with all these sexual harassment claims. And it just was a real eye opener about the bias that you have when you're actually just meeting somebody for the first time. And in real estate, it happens all the time for women. There has been so many, kind of warnings and press things about, women are a huge target in real estate because you put yourself out there, you've got an image, you've got a look, and, people are judging you on that, right? And it's a huge thing to be conscious of. but also be proud of who you are when you're putting yourself out there for the public, because people are taking this, unconscious bias of what they think, professional might look like, or, if you look too old or if you look too young, and what that all means in terms of what you can do for the job. I think it's super relevant in terms of, talking about breaking the bias and, in our industry, just as a realtor. And I'm sure Morgan's a stunner, so she's
actually don't get harassed. I'm just joking. But I will tell you.
But you have had some
I'll
really
tell
good
you,
stories.
I'm
going to
tell you one story that's messed up, just so people can get some entertainment.
And get a real perspective on this.
So I have a couple women on my team, and we obviously have our numbers everywhere because this is just our public, and we want to sell, and we want to sell just like a man. And I hope that people understand this. Like, my Desi said to me, I don't know where they get my number. I'm like, well, it's everywhere. Your number's everywhere. I'm like, what? Like, yeah, but like, I'm like, they can Google your name and find that you're a realtor. Anyways, long story short, we were in the office, like no joke, in the office, and we got a call from like a number, like a random number, and we're like, oh, I'll pick it up. And it's a FaceTime. And we're like, what the heck is this? And we turned it. No, we didn't say what the heck is it. We thought it was like an international client. We thought it was whatever. We thought it was a client. We have so many clients from all over the world. We open it up, and all of a sudden we see a penis. It's a guy.
Oh my goodness.
With his no guy. There's no guy. It's just a penis. A guy's penis. And we're like shocked. We look at it, we're like both looking at each other. We're like, what? And I'm like, turn it off. Turn it off. Boom. All the bling, 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 bling. And then I got one of the other agents in my office to pick it up again. And it was a male. Just to be like, you're not with just women here. And the guy was, and so one of the guys that was in the office picked it up because we told them really quick, hey, just da da da. And then they turned it on, and long story short, the guy like spooked away and walked away. But that's fucked up. Excuse my language, but that's fucked up.
And it happens. It happens a lot to women in real estate, and it's been reported many times to the board. So I encourage all women out there. It's a form of sexual harassment.
Yeah, I've been pinned. Yeah. Like there's been lots of really bad stuff, but I think breaking the bias is a really great campaign for this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think, when I think of bias, I think of parenthood. I think of mothers and fathers. I think people immediately rush that the caretaker is the female. Like, this is a funny story.
Yeah.
So I have like a pickup for Quinn, and my husband came and picked up the baby, like picked up Quinn the other day, and he goes, "What a different lineup this time." And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "They're all dads."
Cool.
And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. And I talked to them, and all the wives are executives, and we're all men. and I said, is that shocking? He's like, no, it's so refreshing that I'm not the only dad that's like, picking up the kid, and I'm not the only dad. And, Sean and I are 100% 50-50. We're super equal. I would say, like, there's not one mother-ish over the father. Like, of course, there's a mother-father role, but like, with regards to like how we raise our kids, there's not like a gender bias on both that side. But I thought that was so interesting because I think if everyone immediately thinks that, as a female, you'll just sit back and be at home, with the kids. And more and more, a lot of my clients that are having babies, they're only taking 6 months off, and they're going back and because they don't want to lose their spot in their corporate ladder.
Yeah.
And they don't want to, and they also now can work from home. So I think there's a lot of like flexibility now, a little bit more.
There's that flexibility, but then it's creating this whole other issue of burnout.
Burnout.
How can you be two people at one time?
Can't.
Being a pro, being focused on, taking care of the kids, but also trying to, shut down an email or get through to somebody on Zoom. It's this whole nother element of stress and pressure that society that we're now in because of this work from home and COVID and the aftermath of this, and who knows, right, if it's going to go back to what was pre-COVID.
I don't think so. I think we're never going back. Yeah. I think we're like, this is our new normal, and
not fully.
We're never fully going to be back to what we used to be, and how we used to live. But I like the idea that breaking the bias is about crossing your arms to show your commitment to calling out bias, smashing stereotypes. I love that. And breaking inequality and rejecting discrimination. I love that. I think that's such a great way of really kind of like doing the women power vibes. And all the guys are doing it too, like break the bias, break the bias.
Really? I haven't seen this.
Yeah, see?
Oh, careful. Water. Wait, sorry. Oh, okay.
Can't see this, but like
Morgan almost just burnt out Braden's entire high-tech system here by splashing water everywhere. She almost, but yeah.
nurses and everything.
Yeah,
I think
cool.
it's so great. It's a really great. It's kind of, you know what it gives me? Triple X vibes.
Like degeneration.
Do you like Degeneration X? Break the bias. Boom. Anyways, that's really cool. So what's one way that you're like talking about children, talking about like, you know, being around, inspiring others? What's one thing that you were taught really young about breaking the bias, Arlene? Because I find that, you know, what you're saying about like you not being immune to it. Like, because you are. Like, I'll tell you, she's like my best friend. She doesn't. At first, I was like, Arlene, don't you know? And she's like, what are you talking about? She really doesn't have that in her head.
I don't have it in my head, and
I'm like,
but
I'll stand up.
because I grew up in a very maternal household. So the hierarchy, it was a matriarchal type of childhood. Our grandmothers were the strongest people. Our mothers are the strongest people. My aunts are the strongest people. And the husband, like everybody,
Husband's just kind of
just like whatever the women say in this family.
No one likes the way he is. I'm just joking.
Honestly, whatever the women say in this family is how it's gonna roll, right? And so it was, you know, my dad's mom, you know, sold duck eggs on her back and was,
what?
Yeah, she
Amazing.
sold in the Philippines.
Wait,
yeah. So she made it here, or she, you know, she lost her husband very, very young. My dad was only 5 years old when his dad passed away. And my grandma, they were all in the Philippines, and she would sell balut, which is those duck eggs.
Duck eggs, yeah.
On the streets in her backpack to start to fund her ability to open a fabric store. And so she's just always been this very gregarious, hardworking woman, and, you know, started off the fabric store, and then that gave enough money to help my uncle start his paper businesses and all that kind of thing. So she was always kind of, you know, the head of the household. And my mom was the youngest or only child, and you know, my grandparents were not happy that she was the only child, and they were unhappy. At least my grandmother was, that she wasn't a boy. And so
that generation.
At that generation.
Yeah,
and so she always made it very clear that she was going to be better than any boy that they ever brought into the family, because they because they adopted two boys that ended up being really bad.
just lay about
Bad
it.
apples.
but really, so then she always just acted like she was
I'm
going
the
to
boy.
be, I'm the boy. I'm
the guy.
Yeah, I don't need to
Or
rely
I'm
on-
in the. Is it like I'm the boy, or is it that I'm the one? I'm the one.
I'm the one.
I'm the one.
I'm the master of my own
domain.
destiny, and
yes.
you know, I can work and raise 5 kids, and that's what she did. So that's what I know, right? I that's what I know. I know that you have no limits to who you can be because of what your sex is or anything like that. So that's kind of when Morgan started being like, don't you think that like it's interesting that you're the only woman broker, or
yes, I would tell her that.
Yeah.
Like, don't you think it's interesting that you're sitting with a bunch of like white old men at a table?
Yeah.
Yes. And then I think, you know, like, I think you, like, yeah, I mean, it's really good that you had that, because I think it really allowed you to just like reach for the stars and look past everything and look past like the guy and girl figure around it. And I think hopefully Kate gets that same thing from you too.
Oh, sure, it is. She's like
queen.
Yeah.
I
But,
think
yeah.
you kind of get through. My dad was super like everyone thinks, oh, it's just a female. Like, my mom worked, which was a big thing, and she was a powerhouse. But my father was the one that kind of pushed me to break that bias. I remember like just very small things on the you know, I'd be like, oh, the boy in front of me is, you know, wants to go in front of me. And da-da-da. He's like, why? Like, do the boy needed something from me? Well, why did he need it from you? You should stand up for yourself. You need it. You need it. You know, like, okay, there's no difference. And then when I got to my not teenage, but leaving the household, I left the household first out of my siblings. I was like, he was like, you can't go and live with a man. You need to go and go and buy and purchase yourself your own place first, and then know all of that thing, know all the costs that come from it. Don't be naive to it. You know, I thought that was such a good mark from my father, because after that I was like, I'm in control of this. It's not just, I'm not going to rely on someone giving me money every day, you know, which is never not my type. But I would say it was really good for him to break the boundaries, like, and tell me, do it. Don't be afraid to do it.
Right.
I think as a father, you should do that for your daughters. Like, just really push them really a lot. And we are so lucky because we have some amazing woo at Oakwyn, and Oakwyn has been, oh my God, can you just imagine, like, the amount of females that we have at our brokerage? Number one, 92% or 94% of our actual internal team are female. So we have our conveyancing, our accounting department, all of our managing brokers, you know, our front of staff, our behind the marketing teams, our, you know, executive team. Most of them are women.
We are. We're very lucky. That's why we're so good. No.
But yeah, like, really, it's true. And we really are, like, blessed to have that, I think. We have a lot of female and super inspiring women, which is great.
We do. And I think, again, we're very fortunate to work with a very diverse group of people. We're talking about people who are never been in real estate before, come into the industry at a very young age, and really are teaching us now all about things that we should be doing, or, you know, or you know, our leaders, you know, our managing brokers who are women, have been in, like Shelley, been in it 25 years in the business. And
that's insane. She just celebrated. Congratulations, Shelley.
Yeah. And so we're really fortunate to have just this diverse set of, you know, people, not just women, but in different cultures and backgrounds. And I think that's what that lush kind of experience that you can draw from just helps an organization so much more.
Yeah, I think we're very lucky, like, even breaking the bias for women for sure, but breaking the bias for men, and for breaking the bias for any type of like culture. That's definitely seen at our brokerage. We're super diverse, and that's why we try to celebrate every one of these big landmark pieces that happen globally, because we really stand by them. We think that there's lots of room for Oakwyn to support, which is great. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting to see break the bias. I hope people really use their triple X.
Okay, Morgan. Okay, the triple X. It's basically you're supposed to cross your arms in front. Not cross your arms. What is this? Like, make an X with your arms in front of you, and this is what they would like you to. We are
cross your arm for solidarity.
There you go.
This is it. Right?
I think triple X was more like crossing it down here, right?
I thought it was up here.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, there was that too, right?
Triple legs.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't triple X. I just think of like X-rated. No,
Do you remember
it's a
Triple
wrestler,
X?
right?
He was a wrestler. And he was jump at the top of the thing. This is so funny. I actually watched a lot of wrestling growing up, now that I think about it.
So this is another bias, breaking the bias, is that sometimes you can think that, you know, that
great
certain things are for certain sexes. So like wrestling, you'd be like, why is Morgan watching wrestling? She's a girl. That's a bias.
People say the same thing about me being such an F1 fan. They think, they're like, why are you watching like race cars and da da da? And I'm like, I love F1. I love it. I actually die. Like, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning to watch it. Like,
but these are the little things, right? Like,
know?
so when you're raising your children, your daughters right now, like, you know, sometimes I have to catch myself and be like, oh, you know, and not make it so gender specific in terms of, oh, you shouldn't be playing with, you know, if I have a son, I shouldn't be playing dolls, or, you know, or why are you playing with the trains, Kate? Like, you know, it just, you know,
it's really hard because
it
of what
is
society is drilled into our brain, right?
Yeah, but do you ever find yourself like, you've got two girls, right?
No, one boy,
one girl.
Same.
Right?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've like right since they were born, we've kind of just let them gravitate towards whatever. But I mean, they've kind of
Go to the gender
they
specific.
kind of assume those gender roles.
Okay,
on their
let's talk
own.
about this.
Like,
That's the funny thing.
Like
It's just in
It
them.
happens. It they like what they like, but then it's
Yeah.
true. Like, so Lucas, he saw so Lucas is my son, and he saw a tap dancing performance at a school one day
Cool.
when he was 5 or 6 years old, and he's like, "Mom, I want to try tap." I was like, "Okay, sounds good."
That's actually one of the best guy. I'm just gonna say this. Tap is like so good because they can just they usually okay. Anyways, keep on going.
So then we
I'm a
put him
dancer,
in.
so-
We put him in tap class, and he was the only boy in tap. But he's very shy, so he couldn't really get into it. But he enjoyed it for that one session. But we just let him try it. But I
Yeah.
think some people might be like, you know what, that might be for girls, or that's something that you really have to think about as a parent. Yeah.
I'm in awe. I'm in awe of male dancers. Like especially like salsa guy dancers, and they're like dad, like little kids. I'm like, how are you so good? But yeah, like I mean, you're right. Like
It starts at a young age, right?
But my son has always like I was like I've never put anything in front of him, and since like he was like not even a year old, he was like making choo choo and like
Yeah.
boy kind of like noises. Like he goes to a dump truck. Dump trucks are like his thing, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
mess up a dump
Yeah.
truck. He did this morning. This is just a funny thing. He goes, "Daddy and Mommy like dump truck? You like dump truck?" I was like, "Yeah, I like a dump truck." You know you're a boy
course I
mom when
like
you're
dump
like
trucks.
oh, you see that dump truck?
No, okay. Here's
Your son's like that too.
Yeah, here's a great example. So we've just like anybody read a lot of our kids got the same books. Like at whatever point, we read Little Blue Truck to
Yeah.
to Daisy, and then we read it to Henry, and Henry. He'll actually find it. The weirdest thing I found is that he will find if there's a little digger somewhere off in a random corner of a screen, he'll just of the page, he'll just be like, digger. And I'm like, how did you even my daughter would have never pointed out this
She's like,
random
look at the
little digger."
frogs in
Yeah.
a little blue truck.
That's exactly what she's looking for, and he's like, "Oh, there's a digger there." It's hilarious, but he's obsessed, and we never pushed it on him. We never, pushed dolls on Daisy, but she always wanted since she heard Henry was coming, she always wanted to get dolls and get pretend like she's their mom, and it worked out for the best.
But I
'cause
know parents that have kids that have the daughter first and the son second, and the sons have the dolls because of the sister, right? Because he watches it. Where my daughter, you can literally see she loves trains and trucks and stuff because of Quinn, because she's looks up to Quinn so much. Oh my God, you can talk about kids all day long, but I would say there's a lot of gender. Yeah, you just have to really expose them to everything.
Yeah.
But I heard, I think as us as let's quickly talk on just I think one thing that we see a lot differently as realtors, as women realtors, are that it's about how they treat them during showings, and some people, old school agents used to call me sweetie a lot, sweetheart.
I think, Morgan, this is I have heard you tell a couple of these fantastic kind of stories of just stopping people in their tracks when they do that to you.
I love it.
I know you do.
I love it. The other day, let me tell you a story.
Yeah, I love
The other
it.
day, I went out for lunch with a couple men that were wanting to purchase and sell some properties. And anyways, my associate told me to come with her. And I said, "Oh, why do you need me? You can go by yourself." And she's like, "Just come, please." I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to go." So we go, and they're just talking. And whether you're female or male, it doesn't really matter. It's just about, there's a lot there. Anyway, I can unpack it. But anyways, at the end of it, the male client was really, you could tell, he was just trying to putting my associate in her place, trying to put her in a place. And I was just sitting there just smiling, watching her take it. Because I was like, I gotta watch this. I gotta watch how she's gonna handle this. I really was watching her, and I just was smiling. I was smiling because he had no idea what he was sitting across from me, the person that will put him in his place. So at the end of the conversation, we worked it all out, and he started, we got to know each other and da da da. But at the end of the lunch, he like the bill came and I took the bill and I was like, I'll take it. It's fine. Pay for it, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't say thank you. They didn't say anything. They just were really rude. And after him riding my associate, I just thought to myself, oh my God. And here I go. I couldn't keep it in. So I was like, wow, things have changed now that women now take out the men and pay for their bills. I said that to the guy. And my Desi, my associate, everyone knows who I was with. She looks at me like, what did you just say? And I was just like, it was funny how the reverse of the role was happening and how he's kind of, what are you going to do? And this, and this. Anyways, long story short, it was just putting him in that place. And then he kind of chuckled, haha, yeah, I'll get the next one. Da, da, da.
Oh my God.
But I told it to my husband, and he said, just like you to put that, just like you to like not let it slide. Like there was like, I had to take that bill. It was very important for me to take that bill to make a point that, he was sitting across from somebody that's equal. And I think that was really hard to see that he wasn't there. But a lot of times, I hear on negotiating with my associates and they're calling her sweetheart and da-da-da. And I just get on the phone and I said, you don't talk to somebody like that. You don't talk to somebody like that. I'm like, and I just stop them right away because I don't think we have to lead by example. And it's hard. And I dare anybody to just, especially when you're with somebody like, you're a male counterpart or something like that, you have to stop them. And I've had that conversation with Michael sometimes. And I had to say, hey, like, and he's my partner and my best friend. And it's like, I've said, do you not see it? And he says the same with Arlene. He doesn't see it. He doesn't see it. I'm like, do you know you can't do that? And he was like, okay, yeah. Okay, I can't do that. And just things that you don't realize that you're doing, and you have to be very mindful of it. So lots of stories.
That can be like one of the most toxic things about the whole situation is that, a guy that's saying something like that to someone they don't know. See it. They don't know that they're being offensive. They don't know that they're being condescending. And then when you call them out on that, that's when they start to get really defensive if they don't think that they're being that way. And that's the huge problem with that sort of stuff is like a lot of guys do not take it well to get called out on it.
Oh, actually everyone I've called out have really been super sincere. Like they've been like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Like sometimes like I don't even notice.
But that's what festers, right? That's what creates the culture of it being okay. Like at Fox, if you watch Bombshell, like it's this like complacency when you don't break it. Like, break that bias. Like, triple X, break that bias. That's how you kind of affect the little changes that might happen in your own life or your organization. It's just those little things that, people being aware and just saying, it's not okay for you to say sweetheart in this negotiation right now. You're demeaning me right now. That's what it is. It's the equivalent of saying, okay, whatever. Like,
I will say something too. It's not just men. It's women to women too. And this is where I think that breaking that bias, that every female as a feminist or every female is looking for that. It's actually wrong. Half of those women out there still have to be taught and brought into this circle of treating each other equal. I've been in more conversations with women bashing women than men bashing women. And that is where Woo came along. Woo was very important for me to say, us as women of Oakwyn and us as the women should come together and really, really, celebrate each other and not put each other, shame people or assume anything from somebody, another woman.
And create support so that that everybody can make it and everybody has the same chance together versus feeling like there's only one space to one person who's going to break this glass ceiling. Well, no, we're lucky to report at Oakwyn, like our top 10 agents, half of them are women.
Half 50-50, baby.
Top 10.
Awesome.
Top 10. Like, I don't know. That seems crazy because I remember, a couple years ago, the stat you said, the President's Club, I haven't looked at it this year, was like
10%.
Like, 10%. 1 out of 10 women were before, right? And now, like, our office, at least top 10 people in our office are women.
Yeah, and they're so, and
they're all people that you're just like, they're all different.
Super different.
They're all different.
Some of them are single, some of them are mothers, some of them are immigrant families, some of them are born and bred. Some of them
diverse.
And reaching the same thing for male too in our top 30. If we look at our top 30, we had a top 30 dinner and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The amount of females, it still was small. in comparison to the 50-50,
Yeah.
but I would say it is still pretty amazing. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
amazing. And they're doing it really well. I think we're very proud. Some of the things that we here at Oakwyn, I think it was like a very important for us was to support people in their choices to live their best life. And one thing that we implemented right away was a mat leave.
Yeah, so giving the people the opportunity if they are going to have, start a family, that it can be very stressful,
Yeah.
right? And recognizing that and being, primarily a women-led company, that we were going to support people's decisions to, take some time for their families. So we have, a program if you're
A pat leave.
yeah, pat leave if you're planning on starting your family and want to know what that's all about.
Give us a call.
Give us a call.
Yeah. We are so, I think as we break the bias, as our team continues to grow and try to encourage, it's funny. I did a women's Zoom the other day at UBC, and it was half of the people were male on this women network thing too. I think it's the time of change. A lot of people are wanting to break the bias, not just in their careers, but also with their in the corporate world, but also in the entrepreneurial world, which is amazing to see. Oakwyn is always putting on our big woo event that we usually do right after International Women's
That's
Day.
right.
But this year it's going to be a little different. It's going to be up in where, Arlene? Can we say this?
I don't know.
Should we not say it
I
yet?
think we should just
We're
keep
not the type of
suspense
we're not
going.
yeah we're not the type of people to say it until we do it.
But what the women
I'm
of
waiting with bated
no,
breath
but
here.
what is the women of Oakwyn is? We started this over 5 years
5
ago.
years ago.
5 years ago now, and it's that day similar to International Women's Day, but it's our day that we celebrate the women of Oakwyn, and we come together and really support women entrepreneurs and women in business in particular. And we've had a specific some amazing events every single year.
Yeah. Last year was virtual, and was the year before virtual? I don't know if it was virtual the year before.
The year before was right when COVID started. I think I remember it
we had to
was
delay it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, we did it online, but it was kind of through kind of our social feed. But this year we're hoping face to face, more time together.
Yes.
So we really hope everyone's going to come out, and we'll have to kind of coordinate with the International Women's Day at that ceremony, which will be fantastic. What else do we have to talk about today, Arlene?
Well, I think the last kind of point to talk about a little bit is about just women in leadership. And
yes, our key. First of all, you're such a leader, Arlene. Such a leader. Give me 3 tips to women that are listening right now that want to be a boss like you.
Number 1,
Keyword.
break the bias.
Break the bias. Triple X.
Number 1,
Break the bias.
Break the bias. Well, partially, yeah. So number 1, don't put a limitation on yourself.
Beautiful.
Right? So break the bias. There is 0 limitations on anything that anyone can do. It's just what you think you can do, and that's what you're here on this earth for, is to be your best authentic self.
Oh my God, Oprah.
Yeah,
She's Oprah.
straight up Oprah right there.
Straight up.
Arlene Winfrey.
So that's number 1. No limitations. Break the bias.
That's cool. 2. Boss
number-
babe. Boss babe tip. I like this.
Boss babe tip number 2.
I hate that. I hate
Ooh.
boss babe. Babe just
No,
throws
yeah.
me off.
Why?
I hate
Alex?
it.
What were we just talking about?
No. People call it boss babe, and it's annoying. And I hate that word, just so you guys know, on the thing. And boss babe. Boss, it's like calling, it should just be boss. It should just be boss.
You are a boss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go.
I like
Next.
Okay, how about we go
Second.
tit for tat? You go next, because I
Okay,
got to
well,
think for
mine-
a minute.
okay.
I was like, I don't know. That's my number 1 tip.
Okay. My number 1 tip for females that want to get into leadership, really expand yourself around other strong women. Go
Nice.
and reach out to people that are in that realm. When you think that there's no one else in that space, there is someone in that space. Connect with them, take a big leap, reach out to them, and just listen to them and hear what their stories are, because I think you'll learn something. That's my tip number 1.
Okay, tip number 2. I think you should always think of yourself as an example. You are an
Ooh, I love
example for your kids. You're an example for the people that are around you. If you are a manager of some sort, or you want to become a manager, you know, you have to, you're an example for everyone around you. So act like you want to be treated.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, not option number 2. Number 2 is I think mine is so my first one was very, you know, build something around you. The next one is you know, like, I think it's super important to set your goals of, like, as a leader just on paper. Like, we mentioned this morning, like, set your goals and reach for the stars and don't have any, like, ceiling. That's always, like, we always talk about that, but it's like, and don't be hurt when you get rejected on certain things. Like, I think as females and we are just like, we take it and we internalize it and we take everything so personal. You just got to break through that boundary and just kind of continue. Just don't give up. That's my word, actually. Don't give up.
Number 3, and I
Boss.
just thought
Boss.
this is it.
Boss.
Love thyself.
Yes.
Love that. I don't know where I'm coming with this. I was like really bad at the beginning of this pod. Now I feel like I'm like.
Well, Mike threw me off too.
He
came in the room and I was like, goldfish. Like, I had to look over here.
No, but love thyself. So what that means is really you can be your hardest critic, like Morgan was, just a riff off of what Morgan was saying is, you know, I think you know, you can hard yourself as a mom, hard on yourself as a partner, hard on yourself at your work, hard on yourself. And, you know, and then, or sometimes you give yourself to everybody else so much, there's nothing left for you. So I think the number 1 tip, and that's what I'm working on all year this year, love thyself.
Yes. That's actually, like, the biggest tip, hey? Like, it's like you first, right? It's always you first. It's like when the airplane goes down. You put your mask on first, and then you save your babies. Even though I feel like I just put it on my kids first, and then, but you want to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
My third boss is, don't put yourself around people that are haters. Like, get some cheerleaders in your life. You need it. And I think this is male, female, whatever. Don't hang out with people that bring you down because it is a waste of time, guys. And I think as realtors, as females, as we break this bias in International Women's Day, I think everyone's goal is just to go out there, talk about it.
Yeah, be aware.
Be aware of it.
Yeah.
Expose it. And it's not an one day a year thing. It's a year of that. And so bringing that into your day every day. So if I suggest anyone to just make a couple habits that you can change to change your mindset about something, assist people to understand it, take a second and write those down and try and implement it in the year.
There you go.
There we go. And I think that's it for this International Women's,
where we're gonna break the bias.
Trouble. This is such an interesting thing that they've done, but they've done it over here. It's like, oh. Okay, anyways. Thanks so much, for tuning into the Oakwyn podcast. If you would like to give us a review, please do that on your local listening network. Is it a network? Program?
Streaming platform.
Streaming platform.
Yes, that's right.
5 out of 5. If you'd like to know a little bit more about the Oakwyn in general, what do we do, Arlene?
You go to www.oakwyn.com/join, and I think you don't need www anymore.
And you put in the you put in the pod subject Evolve, which is our theme of the year, Evolve 2022, to get a free mystery swag. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We will see you soon. Thanks.